with the viewfinder too.
Space Shuttle, making noise. Apollo, let's go, is it? Let's go.
Can't see all of it.
Okay.
What?
Yeah.
How do you like it? Such a key? Tu jest wejście do firmy samochodów. O, Busters.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Ken Davis. I'm a communicator with the Kennedy Space Center representing NASA. Welcome to our tour of the rocket garden. Follow me in, please. When people get here and you look at all these big rockets, a lot of times you wonder, are these real rockets? Well, the answer to that is yes. These are all real rockets. Just one exception to that. That silver one on your left there that says 109D, that one there is a replica. All the rest are real rockets. People also wonder, have these rockets actually flown in space? Well, the answer to that is no, they have not. Had these rockets actually flown in space, we'd be doing this tour in scuba outfits underneath the ocean, because that's where they all ended up. Now, all the rockets we're going to talk about this morning, except the very last two, were originally military missiles with warheads on top. When we started our space exploration, we took the warheads off and put satellites on top, and eventually crew capsules for the astronauts. And the first rocket we're going to talk about this morning is this one this white one that says UE. Now this is where space exploration in the United States began, way back on January 31st, 1958. This is a Juno 1 rocket. Sitting on top is the Explorer 1 satellite. Now the Explorer 1 satellite is the white pointy part all the way up on top. Looks a little bit like a white crayon. Now the Explorer 1's mission was to prove a theory of Dr. James Van Allen. He believed Earth was surrounded by radiation belts
Look at
that
the big
helped
one.
protect
So,
it from dangerous solar
let's look
particles.
up.
The Explorer 1
Look up.
proved to be correct. We named the belts after him. They're called the Van Allen belts. And that satellite actually stayed in orbit till 1970. However, it only transmitted data for 44 months until it got released now. And also, that was not an echo launch. NASA was not operational until October of 1958. And the first rocket that NASA launched is this one unit right here, this white one, that says NASA down the side of the back. That is called the Juno 2 rocket, and it launched many different satellites for us. One of the most notable was called the Pioneer 4 Deep Space Probe.
Mam sunglasses.
And this rocket launched many weather satellites, also communication satellites for us. The first communication satellite was called the Echo 1. It was just 8 miles per satellite. It's 100 feet in diameter. It had a very reflective surface. So we had a sending station out in the desert California. We would signal how far we had on. We came down to the receiving station in New Jersey, and it was a very successful test. Now, our next communication satellite was also there's this one right here. This is a Mercury Atlas rocket. Same Mercury capsule on top, but now we have the Atlas rocket, and it's a little bit bigger than the red stuff.
About, have you been in there yet? Or? No, we're heading that way now.
Space Shuttle, widzisz? Space Shuttle. O, mamy sobie. Zobacz, jaki pojazd. Chodźcie go obejrzymy. Maybe he was in Mars. Idziemy do tego sklepu. Nie, to się świeci w nocy pewnie. It's lighted.
We don't have any numbers. We just check people's tickets. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, no. No.
Or make calls while we're on tour. Whatever else you do, it just looks like a giant lake. Or for you people that are from up north, you might look at it as a giant ice skate rink. Okay, if you could just look down to the left, far left down there, you can see how it looks like. It looks like a big old lake down there. That's because they're so close together, and the other reason is there's 250,000 solar panels out there. And this is one of 4 that we have out here at the Space Center. And so for any kind of inclement weather or power outages or whatnot, we have plenty of backup. Now over here on your right-hand side, you see that's the Mercury Redstone. Today we can carry 7 astronauts plus all their cargo and paraphernalia. That one up there, 1 astronaut and maybe a half a sandwich. And that was it. All right up here you see these red lights blinking. This is a highly secured area, so we ask you please do not take any.
We have pondered our place amongst the stars since the dawn of humankind. We've looked at the stars with wonder and amazement. Their glow
Station is the Mercury Redstone rocket. It represents NASA's earliest efforts to send humans into space. These Redstone rockets were formerly ballistic missiles provided to NASA by the U.S. Army. In October of 1958, NASA formally organized Project Mercury with the mission to investigate man's reaction to this new environment and safely recover the capsule and its pilot. Man rating for human spaceflight on what was previously a ballistic missile was no easy task, after the rocket becoming the first American in space.
Hi, I'm Janet Petro, and welcome to NASA's John F. Kennedy Space Center, where NASA astronauts have ventured forth on flights of...
It is one of the largest buildings in the world by volume, and is the place where NASA completes the final assembly of its rockets before launch. The sheer scale of this building is hard to grasp, even when you're right next to it.
Once they have completed a rocket and they have it ready, because this is the VAB, Vehicle Assembly Building, and once the rocket's assembled and it's ready to go, then what they'll do is call for the crawler transporter. It'll go around the back side and come in, because there's 2 more doors just like those on the back, come up underneath the mobile launch platform, pick that whole thing up.
And now NASA's SLS rocket, weighing in at 6 million pounds and capable of lifting and hauling 18 million pounds. The crawler is an engineer. Carried the crawler up to a top speed of, wait for it, 1 mile per hour while carrying a rocket. Keep an eye out for the crawler as we approach this area. And remember, we are visiting a working spaceport, so while the crawler may not stay in one area for very long, it's bound to be out here somewhere. Now, let me introduce you to my friend, John Giles, the Crawler Project Manager.
I'm standing in front of Crawler Transporter number 2 at the Kennedy Space Center. Crawler Transporter number 2 will be used for the SLS program to take the launch vehicle back and forth to the pad. We will begin by going underneath the mobile launcher. We'll pick it up, we'll take it over to the VAB. They'll then assemble the launch vehicle on top of the mobile launcher, and then we'll come back to the VAB. We'll slide underneath it again, we'll pick it up, we'll take it out to the pad, a trip of about...
And I was right in that fence down the bottom of the bleachers. I was there taking a video of it. All of a sudden it got so loud, I dropped my camera and grabbed my ears, and the whole place, of course, was lit up in the wall. All right, well, you're going to go through these doors up here. You see the stainless steel doors with the red arch around them. You'll go inside. You'll see a short video. You'll go in a little farther.
On behalf of NASA and Kennedy Space Center, welcome to the Apollo Saturn V Center. Our presentation will begin in a few short moments.
When I was a kid, I used to dream about flying through space. Every week on TV, I'd watch my heroes as they jumped into their rocket ships and took to the stars. And I wanted to be like them. They had courage, imagination, and no problem ever stood in their way for long. You know, in the end, when we actually did send men into space, it turned out that those were exactly the qualities it took. I'm John Hudson. This is Pad 39 of the Kennedy Space Center. I was a launch controller here when from this very spot, man took off to fly to the moon. It was a journey that began 12 years before that rocket ever left the ground. And it started on the other side of the world. Back then, we were one of 2 superpowers that always seemed to be on the edge of a terrible war. In 1957, the Soviet Union launched the first ever man-made satellite into Earth orbit. They called it Sputnik, which means traveling companion. And in a world where peace hung in a delicate balance, it seemed to create a dangerous advantage. Every ham radio operator in the world couldn't seem to get off the ground. We stuck with it, and on May 5th, 1961, things finally started going right. Astronaut Alan Shepard took his ship Freedom 7 6.5 miles into space. America had its first space hero. Just a few days later, our space program received a new challenge. But this one did not come from the Soviet Union.
Why 35 years ago, fly the Atlantic? Why does Rice play Texas? We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other thing. Not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
We hadn't been more than 16 minutes into space, and now we were going to the moon. We would have to design a rocket the size of a 30 and had dared to attempt. But step by step, mission by mission, we orbited the Earth, perfecting the skills and technologies we would need on this incredible journey. Our astronauts practiced maneuvering, docking, and the 1,000 other tasks that would comprise the moon mission. We created new... One day, however, the dream of flying to the moon almost slipped away. It was January 27th, 1967. Astronauts Virgil Gus Grissom, Edward White, and Roger Chaffee were on board Apollo 1 for a plugs-out test, a full-scale dress rehearsal for the actual launch. Suddenly it happened. There was a fire in the capsule. 3 men whose lives had been in our hands were lost.
Surely the opening vistas of space promise high costs and hardships, as well as high reward. But this country of the United States was not built by those who waited and rested They wish to look behind them.
After make it risk-free, and the men who flew them knew that. We didn't send men into space again until Apollo 7 orbited the Earth, testing some of the new. Now is the time that we could. Now is the time that we would. We stand the crew of Apollo 8. Through those doors, you'll find the firing room, launch control, just as it was on December 21st, 1968.
Please gather all of your belongings, take small children by the hand, and proceed through the open doors to firing room number 1. All strollers, wheelchair guests, and hearing impaired guests, please use the door to your far left. Guests with special physical needs, including wheelchairs and
Go with her, go with her.
please be seated on the front row.
That's so cool. Jeszcze dużo, no.
This is the firing room, launch control for the Apollo missions. This is not a mock-up. These are the very consoles we sat at when men first took off to fly to the moon. The tragedy of Apollo 1 had put us a year and a half behind. We were making up for it in one big leap, and we were doing it with a rocket that no man had ever flown before. It was a few days before Christmas 1968 when Apollo 8 sat on the pad. She was the first of a new kind, a moon rocket. This was the Phoenix, risen from the ashes of Apollo 1. The first Apollo crew did not die in vain. This was to be their testament. "36 stories high, she had been fully fueled throughout the night. The liquid oxygen in her tanks caused ice to form on the outside of the craft. The extreme temperature differences between the air and the sub-zero fuel caused the metal skin of the rocket to expand and contract. Everyone who was on the pad agreed. It was as though the rocket was alive, breathing, straining at the leash. Earlier in the morning, astronauts Frank Borman, Jim Lovell, and Bill Anders had made their final preparations before taking that long ride out to the waiting spacecraft. The minimum safe distance from a Saturn V at liftoff was 3 miles. The reason was simple. When fully fueled, the rocket contained the explosive power of an atomic bomb. As the clock counted down, the astronauts and all of us in launch control went through the pre-flight checks, our hands on the controls of the most powerful, most complex machine ever built. It had over 2 million separate systems, and to bring these men back alive, everything had to work perfectly. Each individual system had been tested, but what we didn't know was how they would perform when all 2 million began to work together. That moment, for launch on that chill December morning, these 3 astronauts were back to what they had always been, test pilots. You are now in the final minutes before the launch of Apollo 8, right here where it actually happened. Mankind is about to leave his planet behind and journey to another. It is one of those rare moments when history is not being made, destiny is being embraced.
CBS says verify go long. CBS verify go long. CBS verify go long. Verify go long. Verify go long. CBS comments. Best on personnel. Countdown clock will start on my mark. T-minus 3 minutes. 3, 2, 1.
This is launch control. T-minus 3 minutes and counting. We've completed our communications checks with the Apollo 8 astronauts in the cabin, and the communications are go.
And verify effectively on to my mark. You are clear for flying command.
During this period, once we do get the firing command, the various tanks within the 3 stages of the Saturn V launch vehicle begin to pressurize. We have firing command. The firing command is in. We're now on sequence. T-minus 2 minutes, 20 seconds, and counting. Our status board indicates that all aspects are ready. Instrument unit is ready. Spacecraft ready. Final check of the emergency detection.
Ready to go to contact. Standby motor. Okay, you're on.
All systems go. T-minus 45 seconds and counting. The first stage of the oxygen tank has been pressurized, and the pressure is still building up. Coming up in 90 seconds, mark T-minus 90 seconds and counting. Apollo 8 crew standing by. Spacecraft Commander Frank Warner, Jim Miller, Bill Anders. We now report that the liquid hydrogen tank in the third stage is pressurized. 1 minute 15 seconds. All 3 stages. The flight batteries within the launch vehicle. Final reports coming from Frank Borman at this time. Final look at the source list aboard the spacecraft. 20 seconds, all aspects. We are still in go at this time. 15, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9. The engines are on. 4,
8 successfully orbited the moon, and the astronauts returned safely to the Earth. I know. I'm Jim Lovell, and I was one of the crew of this spacecraft, Apollo 8. We were the first men to see the surface of the moon from just a few miles away. But it was the hundreds of thousands. This is the only one that can take you to another planet. I actually got to fly one on a second flight to the moon called Apollo 13. But that's another story.
That's so huge. Yes, yes. Oh, look at this. Yeah, so cool. Zones. How huge it is. Wow. Not too many, just three on the moon, not more. So this is this. O man, dobra, chodźcie, zaczniemy. Muszą dotknąć księżyca. It's the moon surface. Yes. You can be first, Max. Yes, touch it.
It's not real, bro.
What?
It doesn't feel real at all.
No, it is real. A small piece of...
It should be bigger.
Yeah.
Way bigger. Look, I made one. Alright, let's go. Bring that.
On this rocket, Yeah.
What if that rocket falls? Our rocket is dead.
But
Right now, this station could blast off if we want.
wow, this is the picture from the moon. Moon photo.
How big is it? How much people
astronauts are going to be in the area tonight. Don't forget, we're going to launch tonight. I believe they said 11:06. Not if you live real close to here, you won't. You'll hear it. Another one next Thursday in the afternoon.
The Crew Program has been working with American aerospace companies on creating cost-effective access to the International Space Station, or ISS, and other low Earth orbit missions. Launching from right here at Kennedy Space Center, astronauts can travel to the ISS aboard spacecraft developed by private companies SpaceX and Boeing. SpaceX's capsule, Crew Dragon, is capable of carrying up to 7 astronauts and cargo launched on SpaceX's own Falcon 9 rocket. Crew Dragon, upon returning to Earth, splashes down in the ocean in one of 7 different locations off the coast of Florida. These are chosen based on specific criteria such as weather and location of the spacecraft in orbit. On May 30th, 2020, SpaceX launched Demonstration Mission 2, also known as Demo 2, the first crewed test flight of the Crew Dragon. NASA's astronauts Bob Behnken and Doug Hurley launched to the ISS for the final step in proving the reliability of SpaceX's crew transportation system. With the success of Demo 2, SpaceX is now regularly sending crews to the ISS. Boeing's spacecraft, the CST-100 Starliner, has also undergone orbital flight tests in order to send crews to the space station. It's able to seat up to 7 astronauts and cargo. Starliner launches atop an Atlas V rocket, made by United Launch Alliance, or ULA. Upon its return to Earth, rather than splashing down in the ocean, Starliner deploys airbags to land in the desert of the western United States. Starliner was actually the first American-made human-rated capsule to have landed on land. On September 4, 2015, Boeing opened its commercial crew and cargo processing facility in what was formerly the orbiter processing facility for the Space Shuttle program. This building you'll see adjacent to the VAB boasts a large, colorful mural of the Starliner in orbit. The commercial crew program is allowing private companies to design in the most efficient and cost-effective way, while NASA engineers offer oversight and expertise. While these companies focus on providing transportation services to and from low Earth orbit, NASA is freed up to focus. For more than 20 years, a pine tree along the Kennedy Parkway has been home to the largest eagle's nest.
Building there and use them again. They cover the satellites and then they expend them once they're up into space. They come back down and they catch them on the ship.
Medical equipment. It's amazing how the work being done to take us thousands of miles into space is also making life better right here on Earth. Of all the benefits of modern technology, perhaps none are more powerful than our ability to connect with another person instantly. To pick up a cell phone. The journey starts here. By going behind the gates at Kennedy Space Center today, we each took our own small step toward the future of space exploration by learning and being inspired by the incredible achievements of NASA.
Tremendous display in there.
It's afternoon now, I think.
On behalf of NASA.
Got it?
Idziemy tam.
Morning, Betty. What, right now? Building 36?
I didn't even know there was a building 36. Must be important. Everyone's here. We got propulsion, aerothermal, flight dynamics.
Good morning. We're going to create America's next spacecraft. It's going to launch like a rocket and land like an airplane, and it's going to be reusable.
Can't do that with a rocket.
It's not a rocket. It's a shuttle.
Now it's time to go to the next step. Sketch pad to launch pad. Going to the moon was a camping trip. Now our job is to work and live in space. This vehicle has to do something that we have never done before.
We're running all new processes, procedures, manuals. We've never had to reuse a ship before.
We're also going to have to build some really big garages.
Ablative heat shields are heavy, and they burn up on re-entry. We need a more reusable solution. Silica foam tiles, thousands of them, fitted together in one lightweight, reusable heat shield.
Another holdup with the engines? Tell me some good news with the tiles.
The heat shield.
How do you feel?
I'll let you know. When they come home.
The President's message said, you go forward this morning on a daring enterprise, and you carry the hopes and prayers of all Americans with you. And astronaut John Young, the commander of the mission, replied, that's a right fine speech. We sure appreciate it.
This launch of Columbia marks NASA's first manned test flight ever flown into space with people on board.
Folks, you guys can come right on in. Welcome to Atlanta.
No nie wiem, już możemy iść, ale zobaczymy co tu jeszcze. kids how they play. They love it so much. Kids love it. Alex, I'm gonna take you. So many switches. Do you know how it works? You need a lot of knowledge, yeah, to operate it. Watch. Widzicie? A tutaj so complicated, so advanced. So unbelievable. Dobra, idziemy tędy. So good, so good. 37 million horsepower. Can you imagine? Idziemy na dół. Look at the wings. Ojcze, jakie duże skrzydła. Do you want to enter? It's for kids. Yeah, right. We're going down there. No, tu można zjeżdżać. Chłopaki, dla was zabawa. Kto jedzie? Buty w rękę, zobacz. Buty w rękę. Look at the position. Lounge experience chłopaki. Dobra, tu jest exit. Oh, stickers, Czego szukamy? Kubka? Cup?
They could spin.
Quite cool. No, this is for yearbook for
What
special.
about this for mommy,
This
man?
is so expensive.
Okay, bet.
O, ten jest cool. Na przykład.
$17.
Yeah. So how do you like it? Maybe we can. Dobra, chodźcie tam, zobaczymy co tam. Tam jest kafe. Jesteście głodni? Planet Play, let's see. Wow, look at there. Yeah, you want a popcorn? Idziemy stąd, idziemy stąd. Okay, we have to see what is in the gateway.
Wow. Wash your hands.
No, czekaj, szukamy zrobić parę zdjęć. I want to choose the best one. Yes. Wow, look at this.
I'm in the place.
is the button too. Jest jakiś samolot. Widzisz? Zakręca tak szybko.
You can look in the viewfinder too.
Okay, car is here.